I need to first of all agree with Shika on her comment that the bias is real. I happen to have not had school-age children at home during the shutdown, but I had a husband that suddenly had to work from home, and that created a whole different set of issues. But the bias was real, right? So. I think the thing to remember is that the Great Resignation has created organizational impact that crosses gender, racial, generational lines. But that the hard reality really is that in most households, and I know there's lots of wonderful partners out there, but in most households, women or the maternal figure do still carry the lion's share of the caregiving burden. And pre-pandemic, that looked like maybe shuttling kids around to baseball games or dances or whatever. But post shutdown, it became a whole different animal with trying to educate your children at home, caring for parents maybe who, couldn't be on their own. So I think fundamentally, there are kind of two areas that organizations need to stay focused on. One is continuing to foster a culture of empathy and flexibility that really starts at the top. We learned real quick what empathy as a leader looked like during the shutdown, and also learned that most of us could actually be successful working from home given the right amount of flexibility. Young school-age children scenarios standing. But I think we need to continue to ensure that respect for work-life balance is maintained. It is supported by leaders inside of an organization. Boundaries are honored because it's really easy to work around the clock when you don't have to stand up and move away from an office-based desk. I think for younger generations coming into the workforce in this environment, helping them learn how to build relationships via Zoom or phone. I happened to make a job change in the middle of the pandemic, and I've been now with Oracle for coming up on a year. See all of my colleagues on Zoom all the time, haven't met any of them in person yet, even through the interview process. So, for an old vet like me, it's okay, I can make that work. But for a young kind of college grad or even returner coming back after a few years out of the workforce, that's a really hard thing to get comfortable with. And I also think our organizational focus now on providing mental health resources and, it's okay to not be okay, that needs to continue. The other area is more systemic, and it's about examining your internal talent systems. Women and underrepresented groups tend to suffer more stress from, job conflict, right? How many people know of an organization where, a D&I council is being established and they want a woman to spearhead it, or a person of color to, to kind of be the voice of diversity and inclusion in a non-D&I aligned role, right? They still have to do their day job, and now they're trying to solve equity issues on their own behalf or their own kind of cultural or organizational behalf. I think it's really important that we become and we continue to build awareness around things like microaggressions and imposter syndrome in the workplace, and ensure that your talent management and promotion systems are focusing on transferable skills, supporting people who are raising their hands for stretch assignments so that imposter syndrome doesn't creep in because they don't feel supported as they're kind of moving across the career lattice. Check your interview and performance review processes for bias. Make sure that those processes are related only to the job at hand. Know who and how to define top performers and high potentials, and then create systems to nurture careers in both. And finally, I think the idea of sponsorship is so critical in organizational talent management right now. A mentor can be a sounding board, can be a coach, can help you think about your career as someone who's been there, done that. A sponsor is a leader inside of an organization who's going to get to know you as a top talent and then advocate for you when you're not in the room. Use their political capital inside of an organization to advance your career. As an executive recruiter, I see too many leaders who don't know their internal talent, don't invest the time in getting to know others across the organization, who it's not just skip level meetings, it's even further down. How are you creating, whether it's promotional or lateral, the opportunity for women to balance while still continuing to feel like they're being challenged and growing in their career, whether up or across the organization? And how do leaders inside of a company help facilitate that through sponsorship and active advocacy for that talent internally?